There we go. Back in again. How are we, Lee?
How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, so I thought you was in the cinema then for a minute.
Oh, mate, I've got a meeting with my chairman, so that's why I had to leave at 7:45. We've got a meeting at 8 o'clock, so I had to drive the majority of the way here, and then I pulled over in the car. I'm going to try and sort my lights out, see if they can work better. No, it's no better. Can you see me all right?
Yeah, we can see you. We can see you.
Perfect.
Right, let's just make sure everything's all right on here. Good. Just sort this like that, and then we'll be away. Well, welcome to the D&K Reposs Non League show. And me and Keith, we're here for the next hour, and it's good to see you back, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Been a little bit busy a few weeks, so yeah, no, it's nice to see you again, mate.
No, and you, mate, and you, and in his flash new office as well. Look, he's well proud of that, and he looks good as well. And of course, doing his very much impression of Harry Redknapp in the bottom left-hand corner or bottom right as you're looking at it. Of course, he's Lee Allison, and welcome, Lee. Nice to have you on.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
So, I mean, this weekend, have a quick chat first, I suppose, about the FA Cup and Boreham Wood Non-League getting through, and Kidderminster unlucky as well. I mean, would you honestly agree with me that West Ham have got to be probably the luckiest team in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it in the bar before our game, and it got to the 90th minute, and I'm thinking they've done this. And Declan Rice then pops up and scores the equaliser. But I just think full credit to Kidderminster. You know, it just shows how strong non-league football is for me. Obviously, with Boreham Wood's result yesterday as well, I just think that the non-league football is improving year on year, to be honest, and getting stronger and stronger. And full credit to both teams. I thought they were fantastic and give non-league football a great reputation that it's already got, to be honest. But people that don't know it can see for themselves how strong it is.
Mm. And of course, am I right in saying you've got a connection to Boreham Wood as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so I was a player there for, I played about 100 games for the football club, and my dad was manager there for over 10 years. And listen, what they've gone on to achieve is unbelievable. And I watched the game yesterday, and I have to say, I think they're the oldest squad in the conference in terms of average age, but they were monstrous yesterday, and I think that just shows how strong they are. They've got good players all over the park. The manager's done a fantastic job. The chairman's done a great job, and they've got their rewards in the end with a magical tie against Everton. And no, listen, it's great to see, and I thought they deserved it as well. They rode their luck a little bit in the second half, but I thought with the way they kept their shape and I think we said it yesterday, the minute they go 1-0 up, there ain't many teams that score against them, so they're in trouble. So, no, fantastic performance and a great win, and good for the football club, and obviously good money for them as well. So, fair play to them.
Tell you what, David, just goes to show, doesn't it, that that they haven't conceded a goal in the whole competition, which is unbelievable, and an experience buys you that. So it goes to show how much I know, because someone asked me what I thought the result was going to be yesterday, and I said I thought they were going to get done 4-0. So I got that one wrong, but the goalkeeper at the end, I don't know if you watch it, made some unbelievable saves. The one he pushed onto the post and the bar, and it was a proper FA Cup game, and they defended for their lives. I thought they was excellent. I thought they were so good.
And of course, they go on to Everton now, don't they? Boreham Wood as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great day out for them to going up there.
It's fantastic. I mean, I think it's a midweek game, but I think the biggest thing I know of the lad Kane Smith, who plays right wing back for them. He's very good friends with my little centre forward. I think they're best mates, and he's a mad Evertonian. So that's kind of what the FA Cup's all about. It's a dream tie for the lad, dream tie for the football club, and as I say, they'll take a good following up there. And listen, I don't think any of us expect them to win, but I'm sure they'll put a very good account of themselves again, because I think you see yesterday, there ain't much in the gap between the sides yesterday. It really wasn't. And as I say, Boreham Wood defended for their lives. They're very good at it, tactically very aware, and they deserve that on their hard work and their defensive unit, without a doubt.
I tell you what, financially, Dave, as well, it's going to be great for them. They're going to be on telly. Everton are going to look after them as well. They're not going to take their fair share. They're going to sort them out. And when obviously, financially, I don't know, they've done well, but they that's massive for them. That will set them up for a good few years as well, which is everyone's dream in non-league. And I think it is great that them, and obviously you mentioned Kidderminster. It was sad, especially being a Spurs fan. But yeah, no, it was great this weekend. It's normally you sit there and think, especially I think the Bournemouth, they're away from home as well, and Bournemouth are flying at the moment, and they're scoring goals for fun and their movement and pace. But I thought their discipline of shape was off the charts, and they made themselves hard to break down.
And we're talking about great weekends, but I mean, if I think if Heineken could do a great last 6 months or so, then the Allison family must be doing the advert for it, mustn't they? I mean, yourself with Hendon and your dad with St Albans, and then of course your young lady also being nominated in the actual awards for Sports Personality of the Year, wasn't it? I think as well, Lee, and everything that your young lady's been doing as well. It's been fantastic. Last sort of 6 months to 12 months for you guys.
Yeah, no, listen, it's been great. As I say, that my wife's a massive part of this. She's huge for me. She's my backbone in terms of my support, and what she's done with Betty in terms of the cycling and the 100 miles. I'd give up after 3 miles. I was shattered. But no, she's a massive support, and like anything, I was speaking to a manager today, we live and breathe this. She said a number of times, I'm never really in the room. When I am in the room, my head's elsewhere with the football. It's 24/7 for me, so it's hard, but I wouldn't have it any other way. But I want to succeed in the game as a manager. I want to kick on as a manager when the time's right. And I'm at a fantastic football club in Hendon. The history of the football club, the people there. It only goes to show. On Saturday we had a supporter there who's watched 600 consecutive games. It was his 600th game on Saturday, and that shows kind of why we do it. For them supporters, and it's great. And Dad's doing fantastically well at St Albans. He's been there now for a few years. He was up there last year. The year before he was struggling, but this year they've got something about them, and you can't write him off. If he brings one or two more signings in, I really think they'll go close. I really do. I think he's got a fantastic side there, and his experience. He's been doing it for 32 years now as a manager. I don't know how he's doing it for 32 years, because I've been doing it for free, and it's hard work. But he loves every minute of it. He's like a 30-year-old, I have to be honest, in the dugout. And he has cheek of shouting at me about talking to referees and shouting at referees, but he's the world's worst. So, but no, he's done great, and great FA Cup run this year. Obviously cut short by a strong Boreham Wood side, and but he's doing well. And no, listen, I'm very fortunate, as I say, and I'm happy doing what I do. I love it, and hopefully Hendon we can kick on as a football club. As I say, it's a great football club. It really is, and some lovely people there. And no, hopefully we can continue to ride. But it has been a good year. It's been very nice.
And of course, if I'm right in saying, and I'm sure I've met your dad on a couple of occasions when I was working down at Arlo Town Football Club. So when we were talking about it could be, if Heineken did this, he could sort that out, can't he? Am I right?
He can. When he was, he's give up now. He's full time at St Albans, and I think he done that job at Colesberg. Also, I've gone black here. Yeah. Can't see me. So at Colesberg for 28, 29 years, or maybe 30 years it was. So he's gone away from that now. He's involved with football full time, which he deserves that. He should have been involved with football full time for a long time ago. If you want my opinion, I think he's the best manager out there. I think he's different class, and he deserves this role that he's got now, and hopefully he can do it for another few years because he's got plenty of life in him. As I say, he's at a great football club in St Albans. I spent 3 good years there. I loved every minute of it. And hopefully he can take them where they belong. And I think they belong in the conference, but that National South is some league. Some really big sides in it, some good sides in it. And hopefully he can get them up, but we'll have to see where the end of the season takes them.
I mean, Hendon-wise though, Lee, things not going too badly for you. I see you've got Yate at the weekend as well. I mean, what was the actual sort of the plan at the beginning of the season, and where do you see him going? Going forward.
We've actually got Yate tomorrow night away.
Tomorrow night.
It's a 3:00 leave, so that just sums up non-league football. Leaving at 3:00 to go to Bristol, and no, listen, I took over the football club, and we were second from bottom, really struggling. And we've managed to stay up. We would have stayed up, but albeit the COVID hit, and then last year we sort of started, and then it got cut short again. And this year's my first real season at it, and I'd be telling a lie if I said I wasn't disappointed, because I think we should be closer to them playoffs than we actually are. But I've got to put into perspective budgets this year. I've never seen money spent like it in these divisions. It's crazy money. It really is. But at the same time, I've got expectations that I want the football club to be in and around there. But I think if you would ask anyone with the injuries we've had this year, I've never had injuries like it. It's been the worst injury hit season. My centre forward has missed 19 games. He's now playing. He started 17 this season and he scored 14 goals. So that shows you where he is and where I think we'd have been if he'd have been fit for them 19 games. I think we'd be a lot closer to the playoffs. But, it's a really tough league. And actually, if I sit back and look at it, I actually think we're doing okay. Some of the teams we're playing against have got some fantastic players, but we have as well. And I think as a club like Hendon, we don't spend great money, but we try and make it special on and off the pitch. And we've got some real good players there. And like I say, I've always done this. I don't do it, I do it for myself, of course, but I want players to kick on. I want players to come to us. And as I say, nothing would make me prouder if I've had a part to play in someone making a Football League debut, because they've come through us and they've done well and they've kicked on. So that's what we do it for. We can't compete with the big hitters, so we have to do it another way. And we've done all right this year. We've done well. It's just obviously injury hit for us, and you can't replace the players we lose because they're good players, and that's been the hardest thing this year, I think.
How do you attract your players, Lee? Because obviously you've mentioned it, and it's not you're in a league with some big clubs, some big hitters, but one, the money, but also the travelling as well. A lot of your away games, like you said yesterday, your game tomorrow, 3:00 meet. How do these lads cope with that?
Yeah, it's tough, and way we try and do it at our football club is we travel really well. We do the coaches with the tables. We try and do that properly. We've got GPS vests. We film our games. We get game analysis on a Thursday night before training. So we try and do it a little bit different, whereas we haven't got the money, as said, of some of the other clubs. We try and give someone a platform to come and show what they can do. And as I say, we've got some real good boys that, we have to probably shop around teams at our own level and our own spending power, or we get casts off that maybe have fallen out of love with the game and we try and give them the love back. We just picked up a boy from Crawley in terms of Ricardo German. And I get excited by working with Ricardo. You know, he's fell out of love with the game. He's not really wanted at Crawley. He's a great talent. He was at Hendon before I come. And with an arm around him, a little bit of love, we might be able to get a tune out of him and get some goals. So that's how we try and do it. We've got some young boys at 18, 19, 20 that are starting their journey. And as I say, I think, you know, the one thing I've always said is I'll never stand in anyone's way when it's the right move for them. And I hope I can help them and guide them and hope they trust me in that, you know, but some players don't, you know, they'll think that their football lies elsewhere with a better offer. But, you know, I try and help these boys, and that's the way we try and do it at our club. You know, shopping in the league below, at times there's some real good players in the level below, even two below that. But again, you're going in with other teams that are going for them players as well. So we just have to try and make things special on and off the pitch for them and hope they come to us for them reasons. But as you said there and touched on, I mean, we left for Tiverton at 7:30 in the morning 2 weeks ago. I think I walked back through my door at 11:30 at night. And as I say, unfortunately, I've got a wife who comes with me and a daughter that comes with me as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't see them. So it's a tough league. It really is. And the travelling is crazy. When you think you've got Haringey, Wingate, Enfield, Kyle Shorten, all them teams that are local to us, that we're not in the same league, it just doesn't make sense.
And I bet you must have thought to yourself, you know, I suppose one of the worst ones was Truro, and you had that first game of the season. You must have thought to yourself, thanks very much. But you got a good result.
Yeah. No, we got a great result. And do you know what? I had no centre forwards. And so football's a funny game. We went there, they're the favourites to win the league. I get on great with their manager. We still laugh about it now. We changed our shape. We played 4-3-3 all pre-season, and we decided to go 3-5-2 with two little wingers up front. And out of nowhere, we got battered and won 4-0. You know, just mad. But we soon come down to earth on the Tuesday against Hayes when we got beat 6-2. So you know, football's a funny game. But I mean, that was a 6:30 in the morning leave. You know, it's crazy, really, for the money these players get. That, you know, they're great boys, and they're very committed. And as I say, hopefully I can help them on their way to bigger and better things. And I've got some great boys with experience that have been there, seen it and done it as well. And you know, having them around me is really good. I've got a fantastic assistant manager who's different class. And yeah, we just try and create a good environment.
Mm. And of course, you away to Yate tomorrow, and then you've got sort of two big ones as well. You've got two teams there in the playoffs coming up next. Met Police, who you probably know quite a bit about anyway, and then Taunton after that.
Yeah, Taunton away. Thanks for reminding me again.
At least it's the same. Yeah.
No. I've got to be honest. There isn't an easy game in this league. This is the first year where I've gone every game you go into. If you're not on your game, you get beat. Whereas in previous years, I've always felt you'll have 3 or 4 games where, yeah, if you turn up, you win the game. But this year, you can't take anything for granted. Even the bottom sides are strong. Tomorrow will be really tough. Saturday, Met are going great. I've got to be honest. You know, they're another team that don't spend a lot of money, but Gav's got them really working well there. And Taunton, I get on great with their manager. And for me, they've got an outside chance of winning it this year. He's gone on a run. I think they're 15 games without getting beat now, and they've got a chance here because the two top teams around them are struggling to get over the line. So it wouldn't surprise me if Taunton managed to nick it in the end. My money's still on Hayes, but I think Taunton are going well. So every game's hard. I think we've got Salisbury after that. We've got Dulwich in the cup, and it's you know what a big club Salisbury are. You know, you can only see where they are in our league of what a good side they are. So it's a tough league this year. It really is.
And what's that like going up against, of course, their manager,
Steve Claridge? Well, I've got to be honest. I've played against him 3 times now, and I'll tell him this myself. I never really liked him until about 4 weeks ago. He called me, and I have to say he's one of the funniest, nicest men I've ever met. And if you need a laugh, you ring Steve because he loves his football. He's irate, and he's got so much passion for the game. So, you know, even what he's done in the game, he loves this non-league, and he makes me laugh. And I've got a lot of time for him. He's a good guy. He's a really good guy, and he's done great at Salisbury. He's got a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes there, and he's done a really good job there. To be fair to him.
Okay.
No, well, we had him on the show, Dave, didn't we, a few months ago, and he was decent. But what do you think the difference is? You touched on it a little while ago, Lee, about obviously budgets and that now, and this season especially. because I think it's not just obviously your league. Every manager I speak to, obviously, I was out at the weekend and Saturday night I had to pick Tony Berman up from Dartford, the old manager, the CEO, and we were talking on the way down to Brighton about it and things like that. That it doesn't seem to matter what level you're at the moment. Even at step 5, clubs are spending big this year. But why do you think that is?
I think what's happened is a lot of clubs saved a lot of money last year with the furlough scheme coming in, and a lot of players who weren't on contract because there was no income, they didn't get paid. So if you think the season went down last year in November, I think a lot of clubs have saved a lot of money. And as I say, I've never been in a season, and it's not just our league. You're right; it's the league below. It's step 5. It's all the other leagues around us. Sorry, 2 seconds. Lost it. Oh, where are we? It's okay. Sorry, yeah. And all the other leagues around us, is a lot of money around, and whether that'll be around again next year, I hope not. I have to be honest, but we've touched on it there. For clubs like us, Harrow, Met Police, we have to get 11 coaches a year, to away games. So straight away, if you're paying £1,000 for a coach, you're 11 grand out of pocket straight away. And that's where it's tough for our clubs. And that's why, the FA need to look at it for me, that if we can get a league restructure where we go more local and it helps all the other clubs, because you can imagine if we were to play Enfield Town or we were to play Haringey or we could play Wingate and Finchley, it gives everyone a better gate. When we go to Taunton or Taunton come to us, our gates are down because we can't raise the funds like you would do if we had a local derby. So it's just, I think teams saved a lot of money, and it's given everyone an opportunity to have a real good go at it this year. As I say, I hope it changes next year because it's a little out of control at the moment, I have to be honest.
I mean, is there? I mean, you two guys are managers. Is there talks again then of more restructuring?
I think the way the leagues are looking at the moment, I think we've got a very good chance of getting back into the Isthmian League. Because if you look at Bracknell and teams like that, it look like they're going to go up from the league below. Who's coming down? At the moment, we feel we might have a chance of getting back over. But I don't think it will change if not, and we'll stay where we are. But I just think, help the football clubs out. Let's have a look at it. There's be so many more derbies, so many more gates, so many more local football. If we could change it up a little bit, it just, for me, it doesn't make sense. We're in North London, or Northwest London, should I say, and we should be playing the clubs around us, not having to travel to Truro, Tiverton, Taunton, Dorchester, Poole, the Western-super-Mare. The list goes on. It doesn't make sense to me. I think there's other ways around it, to be honest.
Do you think, because obviously it's not, you're not just the only case that this has happened to? I know obviously Harrow Borough in the same league, but it happened. Was it Bishop Stortford or was it Bournemouth? It was Bishop Stortford, wasn't it?
Bishop
the other
Stortford.
Year when they've got put in the north. Do you think? And I know there are the odd circumstances that the FA maybe should subsidise it when there is the odd team that are sort of on that borderline where they're going to lose out hugely. Do you think there should be a little bit of a sort of help for them clubs that are on that border?
Yeah, definitely. And I think every year I might be right in saying you can apply to move leagues, which, I think we all do. I think us, Harrow, Met Police, every year we're trying to do it to try and move across. Because, as I say, for us financially, it's better for us as a football club. I'm not speaking on behalf of the other clubs, but I'm sure they're in the same boat. I think Kings Langley this year, they moved from the Central to our league because they were just struggling with the Central and then having to travel to Lowestoft, Leiston, Needham Market. So I think there's special circumstances. If there's a space in there, they'll accept you. But I just think it does need to be looked at. It needs to be looked at because for me, it just doesn't make sense. And, I think we would get a lot more. I think, we said it earlier, when I go for a player, the first thing they look at is the travelling. It's tough for them. It's not easy. We've got players tomorrow that are trying to get it off work even now and waiting for people to come back to me, because we've got to leave for Yate at 3:00. If our game's off in 2 weeks' time against Taunton, we've got to go there on a Tuesday night. It's crazy. I think Met Police go to Truro tomorrow night. That's a 1:00 leave. And luckily for us, Truro actually playing Plymouth at the moment. So it's actually cutting an hour and a half off the journey. So it just doesn't make sense. It seems crazy to me. I think it could be rescheduled and re-looked at. and it could be better for all parties if it gets changed over.
Would it
when you look at when you go on, sorry, Dave.
So I'm saying, would it be an idea though? You know, if we had that situation like we've got there, and you've got to play, say, I don't know, Truro on, say, away, say tomorrow night, but then on, I don't know, maybe on Saturday you've got to play Met Police, which is a lot closer for you. Would that then not make sense then for the league then to come in and go, look, you know, let's have a quick look at this and maybe move the Met Police game to the Tuesday night and bring in your Truro game to the Saturday. So at least then you've got that, you know, that extra sort of chance of people being off because they're normally off on a Saturday, so you can get people there. Would that be some kind of a? I know it might mean a little bit more of an upheaval of games, but would that make sense?
Well, it makes sense for all of us, but it doesn't make sense for the league to do that, unfortunately. And that's the level we play at. And I don't mind. I don't mind if I had to go to Truro on a Tuesday night. I quite look forward to it. I have to be honest, because that's what I love doing. But I understand I work in football full time, so I can manage to get my time off work to go to games. But I feel sorry for the boys. You know, we've got a lad who lives in Canvey Island. So tomorrow he's got to leave half a day at work. He's got to leave probably 12 o'clock, meet the coach at 3 and get home probably 3 in the morning on Wednesday morning. So you would think it makes sense to change that around, but, you know, it doesn't. And the problem is with the 8 game tomorrow night, we had 3 games off with COVID. So we had a big outbreak of COVID in the camp just before Christmas. I think 10 players, myself and the physio had got COVID. And so we had to cancel the game, which was on a Saturday. So that's why it's been put in on a Tuesday. But unfortunately, that's what the hand were dealt with. And that's because, you know, as I say, if that was Hornchurch that was off against us, you don't mind travelling to Hornchurch on a Tuesday night. It's not too far. But being as it's Yate, it's an extra couple of hours on the journey. So that's obviously where we are with it.
I know people sort of say that there's got to be the odd club that, you know, have to sort of be where you are. But when you look at the Isthmian League, does it, and I know me and David spoke about this before, but when you see the likes of Bognor and maybe even Worthing and that, it just doesn't make sense why they are in it and you're not.
It has to be politics, maybe. It has to be something isn't right, because it doesn't make sense for us to be in this league, you know, and that's not me trying to, I actually really enjoy the league. I like the journeys, I like the managers, I like the teams we play. But for making sense for the football club and to save some money on the travel, and, you know, we should be in the Isthmian League. And like you said there, the Worthings, the Bognors and the teams like that should be in the Southern, if I'm honest. And but it is what it is, and we have to deal with it. It is harder to bring in a couple of players more local, because, you know, are you going to leave the teams that are playing in the Isthmian League to come over to play for a team who's in the Southern? Probably not. You know, the one thing I'll say about the Southern this year is it's as hard as it's ever been. I think it's the hardest league out the lot this year. From top to bottom is very, very strong. I was in the Central for 2 seasons, and I thought the Central was good, but I think the Southern this year has taken over. It's really strong this year, from top to bottom. So whether that's just one of them years, we'll see. And if we're in it again next year, I think what's hard as well, and you'll probably notice that with the Isthmian, because we've had no promotion and relegations for 2-3 years, everyone's strengthening. You know, normally we'd have lost, I think I've worked out, it'd have been two up, 2 down in the first year, 2 up, 2 down in the second year. Your 8 teams different, and the league takes shape totally differently. And I think that's the big thing, where we haven't lost any teams. Everyone's strong. And so, you know, we need to lose some good sides this year. Otherwise, it's going to be another struggle next year.
No, that's right. When you sort of, just going back to the league that you're in, just for people listening, how difficult is it every year that you don't know how you're going to plan, because you don't really know what league you could be in? You could be pushed to one side or back in the Isthmian. Obviously, you know, it's not great going into pre-season and looking at players sort of, you know, logistically and things like that, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, you normally get, I think it's sort of May time, they start putting the leagues out that they think you'll be in, but I don't think nothing's confirmed till a little bit later on. You know, it does make it difficult, because you're sort of want to talk to players. They want to know what league you're in. And as I say, at the moment, we're not changing. We're in the Southern. We're staying in the Southern, and that's where we are until we hear otherwise. Ideally, I think for everyone, we would like to go back to the Isthmian. I think our longest, I think we need 4 coaches at a maximum for us. That's massive savings, for a club like Hendon, Harrow, teams like that. It's totally different for us. But, are they going to move us, Harrow, Met Police? Are they going to move Walton Casuals? Are they going to move us all across? No, they're not. So one of us might get lucky, maybe 2, but it all depends what comes up and goes down. And as I say, we'll look at it and we'll have to try and prepare as if we're in the Southern League and hope we're in the Isthmian. I'd like to give the Isthmian a go. I played Corinthian Casuals a couple of years ago. It was a really good game. They beat us 5-4. It was a classic in the trophy. We played Folkestone this year, and it was a proper football match. Our league is very, very physical. So I would like to move across and give that one a go. But, I see how well Craig Edwards is doing, the side he's got, and it's hard for him this year. So it's a tough league. They're all tough, and there's no easy games at this level. That's the biggest thing. I've done it again. There's no easy games at this level, and I think all four premiers are tough this year.
I mean, you said in your league and with the club itself, but for people that don't know too much about Hendon Football Club, tell us a little bit about the club.
Yeah, it's a great club. It really is. It's a supporters-owned football club. I think there's 10, 12 people on the board. I think they got to the Amateur Cup. I don't want to get this wrong. Cup final 2 or 3 times. I'm sure I've probably got that wrong. They'll tell me off. We ground share with Edgware, so we played at Claremont Road and lost that ground when Gary McCann was manager. That was for housing development, and they went from ground to ground. So they played at Wembley, they played at Harrow, and Kingsbury Town at the time was Silver Jubilee Park. They laid an Astro there, Rob Morris, who owns the venue. And he asked Hendon and Edgware to come across, and we play out of there now. They've got a brand new AstroTurf going down in May. And it's just, as I said to you, it's a great football club. It's got a long list of history. And I think they've been in this league. The highest they've been is always in this league. And, I'd like to change that and try and get them up. Gary come very, very close a couple of years ago, losing to Dulwich on penalties. But no, it's a great club, but we have to do it the right way at the football club. We're not in a position where we want to go and spend loads of money and give it a go, and then a year later we've got no money and we've got no team. We're not about that. We want to do it the right way, and they're a great club. They're very supportive of me, and we want to try and do it properly. But we're not going to cripple ourselves as a football club. As I say, you have to do it the right way, and hopefully we can kick on in the years to come.
So, I mean, with that new, that's another sort of thing for you to look into as well, I suppose, when it comes to the end of season. 1, you're not 100% sure what league you could be in next year, and 2, you don't know what the pitch is going to play like either.
No, I'm hoping it's the one that we've, I work at the football club now. We run an academy out there, and I work very closely with the guy Rob Morris who runs Silver Jubilee Park. And he's investing a lot of time and money into the pitch, and if it comes off, I think it's going to be a fantastic setup there. We've got a clubhouse that turns into 3 classrooms during the day. We've got great facilities, great changing rooms, and it's just the pitch now that if we can get that relayed, it's probably not in the best condition now, and probably not help with some of the injuries we've had this year. But if we get that change, which is looking very likely, it's going to be on par with as good as anything in the league in terms of the AstroTurf. So, and that will give us a little boost, because we play very well on new AstroTurfs. Ours is a little bit older, you see, so we've struggled on it a little bit this year. But if he's investing that money, it's some going. I'm seeing it firsthand how hard he's working to try and change it for us, and it'll be massive for us as a club. And just again, gives a new player where we might not be able to offer them as much money, but we can offer them a great playing surface, a great facility, and all the other stuff that comes with it.
I know that Keith's a big lover of Harlow's Astro pitch, but we've also got
Dave, that's not AstroTurf. That's not AstroTurf. I remember. If Lee does. I remember when yours first went down, and it was laid. You had a decent pitch, and when it went down, it was lovely, but I think, the Flintstones were chairman then. That's how long ago it was.
It's
You've
been
had more people. You've had more people run across your grass than Tower Bridge has had marathon runners. You know, it's outrageous. So it just needs relaying. But like I said, you know, it does make a huge difference. And I know my club are looking to put it down next year at our ground. And you know, I've never been a huge fan of it, but logistically, financially, it's huge. And I know our club will absolutely take off when they put it down next year, because obviously everything it opens up. So, and they're a lot better now, Dave, than when you had yours laid as well. They last longer. They're more obviously shock absorbent for injuries on knees. You know, we're talking about all that now at the moment, about the shock absorbers going down. And, you know, I think the one we're looking to put down is a brand new one, Dave, that there's hardly any black rubber on it as well. So they're changing yearly, and I think it will do. And, you know, for most clubs, I think that'd be the way it will go.
Well, I mean, let's quickly talk about, because it's been a few weeks since me and Keith have sort of touched on the subject and so forth. But I mean, I've seen quite a lot of interviews lately, and especially in the last sort of 4 to 6 weeks. And we'll go back to the old sort of like subject of, shall we say, referees. And I mean, we started off the season where everything seemed to be going really well. It was all going in a really lovely sort of upward curve, and it seems to have disappeared a little bit now, isn't it? I mean, have you had issues, and why are we receiving that many sort of managers with the ump in after game interview?
It's a tough one. We went to Tiverton away last week. We were given a penalty, rightly so. After about 50 minutes, we missed a penalty. We missed a few chances, and in the 95th minute, it was 4 minutes added on. We're 45 seconds over. We get a goal kick. We put the goal kick up to the centre forward. He puts it in behind. Their keeper kicks one through, and their lad manages to get through. Now, my lad's come across and took him out on the edge of the box. The referee's 45 yards away and gives a penalty and a red card. Tough to take. You know, they scored a penalty and beat us 1-0. But you know what? I've got so much time and respect for the referee, because after the game, he come out. He gave me 10 minutes. He asked me to email him through the clip. Said he'd apologise if he got it wrong. He then sent me a message the next day apologising that he got it wrong. And you know what? I can accept that. That for me, the result goes out the window in the end. You can accept it. For the ones I can't handle were the ones that can't own up to a mistake, or, you know, cause you a problem, or speak to you poorly. And I get they'll say, well, you're shouting at me all game. Well, okay, I understand that. But if you actually come and talk to us, you'll see a different side. And I just think it's about communication. And when they talk to you, you change your opinion very quickly. And as I say, so much time and respect for the referee. And he actually was going to send me off in the game because I called their right back a cheat, and he thought I was calling him a cheat. And I had to beg him for forgiveness, and he actually only gave me a yellow in the end. But you know what? Even that, though, a lot of referees would have said, no, I'm sending you off. You called me here. And he actually looked at me and he said, I believe you, and I'm only giving you a caution. And even that, I can handle that. I can handle the mistake. I can handle the goal. As much as it hurts, I'll take it on the chin, no problem. We'll get one this year. There's never a penalty, and it'll win us the game. But it's the ones that can't have a conversation with you, won't see anything wrong with what they've done. I mean, if we had promotion on red cards, we'd probably be top of the league this year. I think we've had about 8 or 9 this year. We're not a dirty team. You know, none of them has been for reckless challenges. It's been 2 bookings or a last man. And yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one to take. But I just think, for me, the way they talk to you is a big thing. And if they can explain themselves, have a chat with you, I've got all the time in the world for that, and I accept it, and we move on.
I mean, I saw the chairman at Romford put a tweet out, and not necessarily having to go at a referee or in any way, shape or form, but I think he was talking about a referee at their game at the weekend that had done something like about a 200-mile round trip or something stupid just to come to the game, you know, and, you know, but surely even on that front, you know, I'm not sure if it's the FA or the county FAs that appoint the referees, but surely it's got to be a case of looking at that and going, that's just too much for these, you know, the smaller clubs to actually be paying out when they're having to travel so far.
I was going to say, I bet his travelling expenses look well, didn't they? No, it's I don't get it. You'd think they'd be more local. It's a tough job, isn't it? Look, let's be honest. They're never going to win. If he's right for me, he's probably wrong for the opposition manager. Very rarely do I come off and agree with the other manager that the referee was good. He was either good for me and bad for them, or vice versa. It's a really tough job, but we wouldn't have a game of football without them. And I wouldn't like to be thrown in the middle and refereeing against 22 men that have got an opinion on everything, because I'll probably put the whistle down and walk off. So, it is hard for them. I do understand mistakes. But again, I think if you speak to a majority of managers, if they were able to have 10 minutes with these referees after the game, they explain certain decisions, and he actually couldn't explain to me why he played 45 seconds over. Like, that's fine. We move on. There's no problem. He felt that the goalkeeper was taking too long with his kicks. But we felt that he wasn't. If you're going to, say the goalkeeper's taking too long, you're probably playing about 10 minutes over with all the goalkeepers' kicks. So it was what it was, but it's a tough job for anyone, and I respect them for doing it, and hope that they done it again. They respect me for asking the questions. I try not to go too hard on them after games, because I'm not going to be able to change their decision. You just want to ask the question and see what they come out with. But it's a tough job.
Keith?
You can't set me up, Dave. That ain't fair. Since I've been on the last few weeks. Listen, I agree with Lee. We had another, I'd say, poor decision go against us at the weekend. To be fair to the ref, he's a decent fella. To be fair, I quite like him. He tries to talk to me. I've had him a few times. You try and talk as leader. You walk over to him. It's just before half time, and they usher you away. I'm not allowed to talk to you on the pitch. They say, otherwise I've got to send you off. It's all crap. You're not shouting at them. You're just asking. But he tried to explain to me that he thought it was a foul because they scored from it, and he actually said to me it might have been a soft foul. But you sit there and go, but this one tried to explain, and like I said, it's you don't mind that. The communication's the big thing. It is massive, the big thing. What I think don't help sometimes, Dave, and I had it at the weekend, you're shouting at the ref about a decision and you're asking him, and when the ball, like the lino standing next to you telling you to shut up, and you're going to him, I'm not talking to you, and they wind you up more. And you just go, look, I'm just trying to, and he's going, Keith, if you carry on, and a bit similar to what you said, Lee, I was talking to my assistant manager, something similar, right? And he said something stupid to me, my assistant manager, and I just said to him, look, Steve, F off. And Lino went, if you say that again, I'm going to call the ref over and send you off. And I went, I wasn't talking to the ref, I was talking to the assistant. Right? Yeah. So he's on you, and it does. So certain things, sometimes they wind you up. But I've got to be honest, if I was a Lino, I would do that. I'd sit there and think, do you know what, I'm going to wind this manager up.
You would do. Yeah, you would.
I'm going to have a laugh here. And I think some of them do. They know what buttons to press. But I just think, I think we've got to the stage of the season, Dave, if we're being serious, what you say about decisions and that, is starting getting there into the nitty gritty, the business end of the season. And where at the beginning of the season, you would have the ump if it went wrong. Now they're costing you points, or they're stopping you. No one see, everyone sees the tweet I put out on the penalty that cost us 3 points a week. Unless you were, the blindest person in the world, everyone would have gave that pen, and it cost us 3 points, and we'd be out the bottom three now. And listen, it's all hindsight, and that's what I think gets you now as a manager. If you're just about by the playoffs, or if you're up in the top, or if you're in the bottom three, and a decision goes against you, either your job's on the line, or more importantly, your supporters and your actual club. It means a lot. So I think that's why you're seeing it at the moment. It's because of that reason.
And that's what I was going to ask. I was going to say, if you look back sort of like through the years of Twitter and Facebook and social media, et cetera, is it a case of, there's not much, I know it's a difficult thing to say and probably not the right thing to say, but it's not as much on the games in the early part of the season because you're still trying to find your feet, still trying to find your positions. Now all of a sudden we've sort of 3 months to go or whatever else until the end of the season. Everything's on the line, either maybe relegation, maybe promotion, maybe playoffs, et cetera, that now all of a sudden that pressure of mistakes that maybe referees were making in September time, they're making possibly the same mistakes, but they're being highlighted more now in sort of January, February, March time, due to the fact that there's more pressure on them and more pressure on you guys as well as the players, and more pressure from the fans. You know, and is that sort of like a yearly thing without being able to scroll back through it that quickly now? Do you think that could, you know, you've just said that's probably what it is, but do you think that was a historical thing as well?
Yeah, massively. I think if you look back to some decisions that were made in September, October, you forget about them very quickly. You know, you're 5 games deep after that, and you don't really go on about it. But like you say, as Keith said there, as you're going towards that back end, not so much with us at the moment. It's acceptable. We're mid-table. We're sort of coasting along. But the teams up in the playoffs, the teams struggling down the bottom, they're massive decisions. And I just think at times the referees, you know, managers are accountable, players are accountable, supporters are coming for you, your board are coming for you. The referee has to become accountable at some point with some of the decisions that are made, and I'm not sure they do. And I actually find it the worst when, you know, when the assessors are there, because I think the referees turn ridiculous. You know, we had one 2 weeks ago at Truro and at home, and the referees, the ball's gone up to my forward, their centre half screamed, their manager's told him to get up, he's jumped up, there's been a little chat talking to, nothing major. Referee gives a throw, Lino gives a throw, we run over to take a quick throw. The referee decides, actually, I think there was an elbow in there, and sends him off. And I'm like, so he sent me forward off, and then we appeal it, and he gets off. And you're like, are you going to be accountable now for that terrible decision? Because you told me, the assessor, after the game, the assessor said it's the correct decision, you got it right, and you won't be hearing from me on a Monday with a sorry. And I'm like, you know, are you accountable now for that poor decision? Because that's cost him, that's cost us. Not that the game would have changed, but, you know, at some point the referees have to become accountable for their decisions as well, because we all are. It's, you know, the referee won't go home on a Saturday night thinking we've got beat 1-0 by a terrible decision and we can't sleep that night thinking how can we improve and what can we do and how hard done by we are. And at this stage of the season, like Keith said there, it's massive. It really, really is. 10, 12 games to go. You need the decisions to be correct. And like I say, we're all managers here. And if you get a decision that's right, you have to hold your hands up and go, do you know what? That's a penalty, or no, it's a correct decision. But when it doesn't, it's not frustrating. It really is.
I tell you what, another thing, Dave, and again, if I know there are referees, and especially with me, this goes around viral, but sometimes beginning of the season, you're sort of fresh, and you're like, yeah, no, I want to do this. And I'm talking as a referee now. You know, there ain't loads of referees at the moment, and you know, they're mostly reffing 3 or 4 times a week. Not just at our level, there's youth levels that they go and ref and so on. Could it also be a stage of where they're like, oh, I've got to get ref another game tomorrow, or no, and they're not mentally on it. It's sort of a little bit complacent, it could be, and they miss the odd thing. Again, I'm not saying that with all the referees, but it must come into them. They must be sort of a bit mentally tired as well, because whereas a footballer runs and a minute, but they're constantly concentrating for 90 minutes plus, which is difficult. You know, most footballers can't concentrate for 30 seconds, even though 90 minutes. So it must have a bit of wear and tear on them as well. So maybe towards the end of the year, you get that as well.
No, probably do.
I think that's a great shout, to be honest with you. I didn't actually look at it like that, and you're so right. You know, I'm leaving the boy at home tomorrow because he's had too many games. He's sore, he's tired, he's mentally tired, and I think, you know, like you say with the referees, because they might not have a knock or a tight muscle or a pulled muscle, they still might mentally be fatigued, long day. It is hard, don't get me wrong, but I think the referees is, you know, are they accountable for certain things? We know they are in the Premier League, and I'm not saying it should be a knock-on effect down and it's cost money. But as I say, it's, you know, if a poor decision and you're being assessed, does that mean they go down the league? Do they go down the league, or are they just marked and said you've got to improve for the next one? And, you know, these are the things that I think that have got to be done. But I think it's a great point about, you know, the fatigue. And as I say, the Tiverton game, the referee was 40 yards away. It was a real heavy pitch. It was a tiring game. You know, as he got caught up in the whole moment of it and made a rash decision and not consulted his linesman, you know, these are the things, like you say, that cause you big problems and sleepless nights.
Absolutely. Lee, it's 7:45, mate, and you've got that meeting to get to, so I'll let you.
Meeting with the chairman. Yeah.
Listen,
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Really appreciate you coming on tonight. And hopefully we can get you on again coming up to the close to the end of the season, and we can have another chat.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No, thanks, Lee. Thanks,
See you, Keith. Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
I suppose, Keith, I was going to say, I've seen a couple of there's a lot of people these days, and not necessarily in non-league football, and I apologise for it not being non-league football, but there's sort of been two stories I've seen today that, we see professional footballers or pundits or whatever else getting a really sort of bad vibe through social media and etc. And I don't know if you've seen them today, but there's been two that have been doing the rounds today. One of them was Jack Grealish, and I don't know if you've seen the Jack Grealish one where he comes in and signs.
Brought tears to my eyes, Dave.
Sorry?
Brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it did me as well. That one, and I've just seen another one in here, which I read the story earlier on, and I've just seen a reply by an ex-professional and as well. Fantastic. And again, if anybody's seen it, it's a young lad there, and it's the actual tweet that's been put out is, he's no worse feeling as a parent that when your kid is being bullied, he's so sad. I really don't know how to cheer him up. Relentless digs about his height, getting pushed around by lads double his size. So unfair. Here he's happy, and I want this smile back. And it's a picture of the young lad in his Arsenal shirt outside the Emirates Stadium. Alex Scott has come back, and literally has just come back as Lee was speaking there, and he says says to the lady, so sorry to hear this. Let's get him along to an Arsenal Women's Champions League game in March, and I will sit with him. And she said she's also going to sign a book for him and let him have a book as well. And these people don't necessarily get that sort of credit for stuff like that, do they? They get a lot of slagging off through social media, but I say especially that Jack Grealish one today was, as you said, it brought a tear to my eye as well.
Dave, I've got footballers do get a bad name. Listen, some deserve it. Don't get me wrong. But I can only go with, obviously, and it's out in the public now. The issue that young Miles is having at our football club, the under 14-year-old diagnosed with bone cancer, and we done obviously a massive day for him last week. But we asked for some tributes, some video tributes, and some of the footballers that I know and whatever that gave tributes of, Teddy Sheringham's and Jamie Redknapp's and the list goes on. We had Mertesacker, I can't even remember the ones that I don't know, Man United players. They all took, Tony Galway, mate, done it for us, and obviously you've got Mark Housley, the referee, who sort of touched quite massively with that.
Was that for me though, and I saw that one. Of course, I did because he sent it to me first, and I sent it on to yourself. That one was another one that really sort of, when I was listening to that, and he's that for the young lad. Really, I don't know about you, but I was sort of double swallowing a couple of times. I must admit, just listening to that tribute.
These footballers are human as well, and especially as you get older, like I said, with Darren Anders, loads of them done it. They're human beings, and I've got kids. You've got kids. Most of them have got kids. When it's something like that, unless you've got a art of ice, you've got to react, and a lot of these footballers do it, and referees as well. We said Mark, he was brilliant, and I think it's great, and it just shows there's a lot of humanity out there, as much as the bad publicity they get, and typical media bend it. You don't see enough of. If that was the other way round, you would mostly see 10s, 20, hundreds of these a week that footballers actually do. So no, it's great. Listen, just going back to that ref thing, Dave, before you say like I said about the tidiness, it just goes to show, going back over my point a few years ago, that the referees aren't looked after. Because if you did look at what I say about fatigue and mental and whatever, who's there? Lee just said that he does. I left one of my young lads out the other week because I just thought he looked physically and mentally tired. Well, who tells these refs? You've got to feel for them. You've got to feel for them. A couple of them will play when they've had a bad day. And the one thing, and I will stick up for them, which I do get on well with most referees. So whatever people think, and I'm very passionate at what I do, and they know that. But they have a long day at work. How often do you get let down by a referee at our level? not very rarely. You get some changes, and I know Sunday mornings it's carnage at the moment because you get let down left, right, and centre. But they get more abuse from parents. I can see that, but the loyalty and the dedication that a lot of these referees show is fantastic too, and that goes. But I just keep going back to my point a few years ago. I just think they need more help. They need more. They need funding. They need proper. They need to be put in groups, and I've said this many a time, where they can help each other out. You've got three at the same level, and they turn up at the game. And if me and Lee are playing against each other, and three come in, and the one in the middle goes, "Look, we've had a chat. I had a game. I feel a bit like the lino's going to do the game." We'd go, "Yeah, thank you. Thanks for letting us know." And I know it ain't as easy as that, but I just think it would help them.
But why isn't it as easy as that? Do you know what I mean? And that's the question.
Because the FA ain't got no common sense, Dave.
Well, one thing I want to ask you, one of the bits I was going to ask you about as well was, back into the Isthmian League and the North Division and especially the Premier Division as well. What a battle this is going to be going into these last couple of months of the season. I mean, the actual, the Premier Division itself as well. I mean, you're sitting there looking at, some of these big teams that are hanging around playoffs and there. And, a few weeks ago, you look like Worthing were home and dry. And now all of a sudden, there's only 2 points in it between them and Enfield. Yes, they've got a game in hand, but they've got a lot of big games coming up, and they've got to play Enfield Town in a couple of weeks' time as well. I mean, that's going to be, that league's going to be really interesting to see it going forward, isn't it?
Sod that league, Dave. You seen ours? Listen, there ain't any other league table I'm looking at apart from ours. Listen, we've got 3 points separating, I think, 13th or 14th place to bottom. Every league's the same, and Lee's just mentioned it, because of the finances, because of the no teams changing leagues for the last few years. Everyone's strong and everyone knows it, and everyone, like where Worthing was head and shoulders above, or obviously we had Cray then with Tony now who's gone to lose, but everyone knows what that was the sort of the benchmark, and we've got to get to that benchmark. Because that benchmark hasn't moved on and then someone else takes it, that's the benchmark and you've got to get there, and everyone's done it. So if you was in the bottom three last year and you're sitting there thinking, hold on, I've got to get a fourth from bottom, they're still the same teams, and you've got to improve. And that is why every single league is tough from top to bottom. Even if you look at the bottom, the only one is the Prem. Obviously, teams are 8 points adrift, the two teams. But then after that, where Bowers are, going up to, there's 6 points or 7 points to 13th. Every league's the same. Every single league is the same, and it is because of that reason. It's massive, and it's tough, and everyone, every league will go to the last game of the season. Every league, in one way, either promotion or relegation, will go to the last game of the season.
So what about, what's your thoughts on the Isthmian League having 2 FA Trophy winners back to back?
Oh, listen, it'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? Just goes to show the strength of the teams. God, what a party Craig would have if he got there. Oh my God! I tell you what, France and Italy, and that would run out of wine. It would be like the best party ever. I'm glad I'm his mate. I tell you what, I'll be on it. It's possible, Dave. 100% possible. 100% possible. Because obviously the teams that left in it in the National League, Prem and South and North, they're either worried about promotion because that is the holy grail for them. And it's possible. It's because as Lee said, and we see it with Bournemouth yesterday, that these teams are good enough to beat these teams. Non-league football has changed massively. There's so much quality about now, and I know me and my assistant was talking to a couple of old ex-pros and that at Cray Valley on Saturday night to leave early, and I spoke to Steve today, and he went, "Oh, I got wound up." One of them just saying how rubbish the football was, and they couldn't lace my boots. And he's going to them, "This football's changed, mate. This football's changed, and it's great." And I tell you what's made it so good, not just the players, is how professional most clubs are, how you know, the club itself, and I can definitely talk about my club, is how hands-on they are. How, you know, they're looking at the future. They're not just looking. There's loads of clubs just throwing money at a one-year wonder, and you know, there's a few I could name easily. But there's some proper clubs now sitting there thinking, do you know what? You know, we got to look for the future here, and some clubs done it years ago, and they're reaping the rewards. And you know, it's really good to see. Really, I've gone and watched a lot of games recently, and I've been impressed. I've not walked out of one game apart from one of my own and gone, what a crap game that was.
So let's use the terminology of when Whitstable Town, you know, get out of where you are at the moment, and we stay where we are. I mean, yeah. Are you looking forward to next season as such? I mean, knowing what you're like with your preparation, you're probably already planning for that sort of side of it. So, I mean, do you feel then that, you know, with the experience that these youngsters are getting, you know, at your club, that this is going to really bode you in good stead and put you on a sort of a level playing field with everybody else at the beginning of the season? Do you feel that that's going to then, you know, be a great run at it next year?
Yeah, listen, David. I've missed a couple of shows for going to meetings, and most of them are regarding for next year, or you know, development or junior meetings. The club's massive on that. They've got some absolutely fantastic people running their junior sides, and we're talking a big development thing at the moment, moving forward. And I'm a huge part of that, and always have been at every club I've been at. You know, myself, we've had 9 under-19s already in the first team, and a lot of them are playing. And a couple of years' time, they're going to benefit. You know, I drove from Brighton to Whitstable yesterday morning to go and watch my under-18s, to talk to a couple of them about their futures for next year. You know, they're going to be a major part of it. And I want to get them sorted already, which we've done, me and the chairman. And you've got to look forward. And that's what attracted me at Whitstable, was what their ambitions were. You know, most and poverty is staying up, and that's what we've got to do. But there's so much going on behind the scenes of how to, you know, make this a whole club. And, you know, even just for getting mascots, Dave, if you come to our home game, we've got 20 young kids running out with the players, different ones every week. All the parents, they can see how massive this is. And the people that are running it are huge. And, you know, it was a massive attraction for me. And it's maybe why I fell in love with the club so quickly, because, you know, and Steve as well, because you can see that. You know, yeah, are they worried? I'd be lying if they wasn't, because, you know, when you're in the situation we are, you're going to be worried. And I said it was going to be an up and down, but we're still fully, you know, I'm getting backed fully by them all. And I still believe that we can get out of it. And I think we will, you know, and then if we do, the club will long-term really thrive, because they've got the best support around that area by a long, long way. And I'm going to get absolute, you said about abuse online, because I've been getting a fair bit from some people anyway. But, you know, they're so passionate, but they're genuine people, and they can see what this football club's doing, from the chairman all the way down to, you know, even the under-8s manager or whatever. They're all on board, and they're trying to unite as one. And it's really exciting to be involved in, and it's definitely exciting to sort of figurehead it.
And I suppose one of those things as well, which will be a bonus for you guys, is that, you know, I can't speak for the other clubs around your sort of area, but if these parents in the under-8s, in the under-9s, 10s, etc., are seeing sort of like the under-18s getting into the team, and are seeing players that are playing in, you know, in sort of youth football as such, and academy football for Whitstable Town getting into the first team, all of a sudden then those youngsters start getting excited, the parents start getting excited, and then there's also that influx of maybe getting some more players into the club as well, because they can see that progression into the first team.
Well, that's the whole idea, Dave. That, you know, and then you've got longevity of your football club. You know, obviously the one thing I will say, and it's a great platform for me to be here tonight, and I went across with the chairman yesterday afternoon, and one of the under-13s managers from the Kent Youth and his wife, and we watched the game and what is Whitstable Town's youth team's pitches over in, they call it Radford, and the state of them is a disgrace. There is just no decent football pitches. You know, our local county should be involved. You know, I know the councils, but they're playing maybe 2.5-3 miles from the ground. There just is no football pitches there. And I've said to you about our training. There is nothing there. The facilities they've got around this area is an absolute disgrace. And the FA need to come down and have a look. You know, it's all right looking at from the old Ivory Tower up the top where they got a nice arch and you know, Roy Keane's Prawn Sandwich Brigade. But they need to come and have a look here because these people are pushing, you know, machinery around in mud, picking dog crap up, doing everything for these kids that can see a great future, and you know, we're not the only club. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of other clubs around the country be saying the same. But I think a lot of people turn a blind eye to this, and they really, really need to come and have a look because you know it opened my eyes yesterday. I won't lie. I walked across these pitches and was like, oh my God, if my kids played on this, I'd be going, what the hell is this? And there is nothing around, and it's really poor.
And would that be, you know, if you get that, you know, all the ticks in the right boxes and get the 3G surface, 4G surface down, and you know that wins, well, that's going to, you know, help take some of that pressure off because I know you just the amount of sides you've got, you're not going to be able to take the whole lot of the pressure off, but that will take some of the pressure off.
Oh, massively, Dave, because. You know, and we know that, and like I said, all this is the club are paying for this 3G. You know, they're not gone to the football foundation or anything like that. So, you know, they're trying to do it themselves, and that's why they need help elsewhere with the others. But yeah, of course it will. You know, you can have 2-3 games a Sunday on it. We can mix and match. The training's going to be massive. The training, you know, we'll try and get a training slot. You know, we have to train in Faversham, Dave, next to Faversham Town on half a pitch for you know an hour a week because there was nothing about and. You're all about football development for kids, and the FA are trying to bring out this massive, you know, oh, this is great. We're putting all these 3G pitches down. It's a load of bullshit. You know, I've got more chance of laying one before they do. They're not helping these youngsters. So a club like ours and locals around, you know, there's one with partnership with called Tankerton that are trying, and all these other clubs around us. You know, the Favershams that will tell you, it's tough, and we're you know. If you look at, we've got 30 teams and other clubs have got, look how many kids we're taking off the streets every week and helping them and actually giving them proper coaching. And they need the proper facilities to play on and train on. And it's mad. And how can you develop all the kids? It's different in London. It's different where I live, Dave. You know, there is 3Gs popping out your ear holes. And all these other areas and, you know, up north and whatever, They need some help. They need some severe help. You know, every school needs to have one there, and it needs to be funded. And you know, if you go across to you know other countries, they're everywhere. And I think we're going to fall behind. And if I started pulling out the child welfare thing, Dave, and saying as the FA letting our kids playing on these surfaces, things will change. And you know, I've had, and I said to the chairman yesterday, and obviously my main objective is sorting the first team out. But you know what I'm like with a you know a bee round honey and you know when I get saying a bee in my bonnet and be saying that I will be going after next year. I will say that.
Well, perhaps we can get somebody from you know some of these big sort of local sort of football leagues on the show as well for kids stuff and see what they've got to say and you know maybe somebody from the Kent FA, Essex FA, etc., and see if we can't get people on and have a chat with them in the coming weeks as well.
Yeah, like I said, Dave, I can only speak for my club, and I know, like I said, I was just so shocked yesterday when I went across and see what they were playing on. You know, they could say I was down to council, and like I said, I know there's other clubs around that area. Just to seem like the further away you are from London, the worse things are. And it does. Like, don't get wrong. I mentioned the KCFA. They do some great work around Kent as well. And you know, there's a fella that I know is just retiring from Lee Suter now that's done a brilliant job at the KCFA. But I just think we can blame counties, but it needs to come from the top. It needs to come from the top. And I keep saying to you, you know, all this money being put into women's football, none of it is coming down the bottom. None of it is coming down the bottom. Sod the WSL. I think it's crap. Get the money from that and stick it in girls, young kids, Whitstable Town girls, Arlo girls, whoever you want. Give them the money to play on decent services and training and sod the other crap off.
Well, big game Friday night. It's Chelsea versus Arsenal.
Won't be watching that, Dave. Won't be watching that.
But listen, mate, it's been fantastic seeing you back with us tonight. Really,
No
it's great
problem.
having you back on. Great having me, my old mate, back with me tonight. But me and Keith will be back in a few weeks' time because, unfortunately, in my new job, I'm working next weekend, next week and the week after. But we'll be back hopefully in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. And we'll come back, and on that occasion, of course, we'll be talking about how Cheshunt have managed to get on against Stockport in the FA Trophy by then as well. But a massive thank you for everybody for joining us tonight. A massive thank you for having me old mucker back by the side of me as well. Of course, also a massive thank you as well to Ali stepping into Keith's shoes for the last few weeks as well. So a massive thank you to her.
Dave, I weren't playing with my hair. Did you see? Wasn't playing with my hair.
It was quite funny, but also as well,
bless her. I love Ali. She's so good.
She's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But a special thank you for the kind words was also from the guys at the cold end that put a message out today. So a massive thank you to those guys as well. I really appreciate your message today. So a massive thank you. But me and Keith will be back in a few weeks' time. And until then, good night.